Hey guys, how's it going? Today Erin and I are out applying some things to our grass, some winterizer and some other soil amendments. So we wanted to show you what we're applying this time of year and then talk about our lawn care routine in terms of amendments and fertilizers throughout the season. There's Russell. He probably won't last long in the back there. We're attempting to attach this spreader to the Gator at the moment, which it's not like the ideal setup because it does make it kind of a two-man operation, but with the large amount of grass that we have now, it is requiring that we have it's not requiring that we have a larger spreader, but Erin has tried two other broadcast spreaders throughout the years. One was John Deere, right?
Yeah,
the first one?
Yeah.
And I don't know what the capacity was of it, but it wouldn't shut off when you were stopped. Neither will this though.
Yeah, it was a low capacity. And I want to say maybe, well, it's sitting right over there. You can see it by all our junk.
Right there. Yeah, junk pile. Don't look.
I want to say that it also plugged up as well.
As the Chapin. The Chapin was the second one you tried.
Yeah, and that one plugged up hard. Mm-hmm. Like I would have to take like some rebar or a stick or something and keep like trying to get it to go through the bottom. It was the worst.
Well, you need to get on and off your, lawn tractor or whatever you're on. So this one, what is the name of it?
Oh, it's Frontier. It's not actually John Deere.
Oh, it's not?
But
it's green.
Yeah, John Deere uses Frontier products, but it's an SS 1035B.
It holds 362 pounds.
Yeah.
Which makes having us needing to stop and refill it a lot less. A lot less stops. So like I said, this spreader, as well as the first broadcast spreader we had, they don't stop releasing the fertilizer or amendments on their own. You have to manually open and close it. So like in an ideal situation, you would not be using the Gator for this. You would be using your lawn tractor because then you'd be closer to it and you could just reach back and turn it on and off. But since we are applying 3 different things today on a ton of grass, we wanted to use the Gator so that we could load up all the bags that we needed. And I'm just gonna ride in the back of the Gator and open and close it for Erin when he needs it. This is what we're going to be applying today. We've got our last application of fertilizer, which is the fall winterizer. You can apply this September through November is the ideal time. We're also applying gypsum, which we apply throughout the year, and soil acidifier, which we also apply throughout the year. So in terms of just fertilizer, we do 4 applications every season, and we've been doing this kind of regimen for a lot of years.
Yeah, maybe like 3 years. I think before that, I was just using the all season lawn food 4 times, maybe even 5 times a year.
Oh.
But the last 3 or 4 years, we've been using the spring booster, whatever that's called. We can put it on the screen. And then it's the lawn season, the all season lawn food. And then it's the summer revitalizer and then the fall winterizer.
So it's about like end of March, May, June, July, August, and then October-ish.
Every couple of months, basically like every 2 months or so, you're putting something else down.
And my parents have been using the Espoma organic stuff, like the line, forever. My dad, though, he uses just the all-purpose lawn
It's the green
food.
bag.
Yeah,
it's like our
second
season
application is the one he uses every time.
Yeah.
And do you know if he does 4 or 4 or 5?
I don't know how often he does it, but
their grass is nice too.
Yeah.
So the kind of you can take from that, like they'll work, whatever you can get your hands on.
If you use 4 times a year, if you use the all season stuff, I think it's totally fine. But I like the idea of
using
kind of having like a
appropriate,
regimen. Yeah.
And then the other couple of things we're applying today, the soil acidifier we apply because we have incredibly high pH soil. We've had soil tests done. We knew our soil was high pH, but we had it tested anyway, and our whole valley is really high pH, and it locks up nutrients in our soil to where our plants can't take it up. Our plants suffer. Oftentimes you see it first in chlorosis, iron deficiency problems, and it just makes our plants puny, really, in general. So if we can keep applying that soil acidifier and help bring that pH down, and it's something we have to consistently do, because even if we apply soil acidifier, we're still watering with high pH water, because our water is high pH too. So we're constantly like leaching the acidity back out of our soil, so we have to keep adding it back in to keep everything happy. And then the gypsum that we're applying is something we also have to consistently apply. It helps break up heavy clay soil. We don't have really heavy clay, but we've got some hard pan out there, like some intense hard pan to where it's hard for me to, hard for you hard for all of us to dig a hole out there. So if we consistently use that gypsum, it really does help. It also helps condition the soil. So while it doesn't actually bring the pH down, it gives the same effect, almost like it helps unlock some of those nutrients and makes them available to the plants. So while we have the soil acidifier working, actually bringing the pH down, the gypsum's also there helping condition the soil and make nutrients available. So we feel like by attacking it with that two-prong approach, it's a good idea. So just like you have to keep fertilizing, you do have to keep amending the soil. So anyway, we're gonna go in with these 3 things on all of our lawns, which, you know, we have a lot more lawn than we used to. So it's nice to have a big hopper.
Yeah, so 362 pounds you can fit in here. So if we're using, I think a lot of these are 28-pound bags. So
yeah, I know that looks small, like all of our lawn.
So like 12?
This is the one I had on hand the closest. We've got bigger bags in the back.
So I think that means we can do like 12 or 13 bags at a time.
Oh, so nice. So nice. And so I'm gonna sit here. I'm gonna pull the lever or close it.
Pull the lever.
Cronk. That's what Benjamin would say if he was out here.
Yeah.
I'll pull the lever when he needs it. And again, I did want to stress that a lot of you guys probably won't need to use acidifier. Like, yeah, it's something that you would need to know the pH of your soil.
You know, tests aren't all that expensive. They're like $30.
Well, and those send away tests are nice. Like we did there was 2 of them, right?
I'll put a link to both of the tests that we've used. I don't remember the names. Do you?
But one of them actually recommended that we use this exact product.
Yeah,
on
they did.
Like the
Espoma
soil acidifier. And it's a gorgeous day, you guys. High is 63, tiny bit breezy, but warm in the sun. And Aaron's sister's here playing with the kids, so they're having a little family time inside right now. Also, you will see that we're gonna be driving this spreader really close to the edge of flower beds because we do like to fling some of it into the flower beds as well. Because if it's gonna help condition the soil and the grass, it'll also do that for our plants. It's all good. Okay, here we go. Quick update, we just finished with the fall winterizer on all the areas. Yep, it took 20 bags to do it all.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. So now we're gonna move on to one of the other ones, gypsum, soil acidifier.
Probably soil acidifier?
Yeah. We had to take a little break though because Aaron had a bit of a drone mishap. Slice the top of your fingers. Not off, but pretty good.
I think it was pretty close. If it was any deeper, probably would have needed to go get them stitched.
So what did we learn?
Don't grab the drone. Okay, I have grabbed. One of the ways that you can end your drone flying session is you can either just drop it on the ground, or sometimes if you're in an area where, you know, it's like gravel and you don't want to mess up the bottom of your drone, you can grab it, and then if you quickly just like flip it over, it cuts the propellers. So you catch it while the propellers are going and you flip it upside down. I've done that like 100 times.
Still not safe. All 100 times.
I guess, but like I've never I've never even considered the possibility of like getting my fingers in there because you're grabbing the underside of it. I don't even know what happened.
I know what happened. He just had said, Laura, watch out, it's gonna get you, because it was coming up behind me and I wasn't looking, and it gets loud when it's really close. So I think it was because you were trying to mess with me. It was karma, yeah. Anyway, I think your fingers will heal up.
Probably.
Yeah.
Or they'll fall off, one of the two.
I don't know. Okay, we're gonna load the hopper back up and take off again, but no more drone footage today. Well, we are running into all kinds of surprises today. The Gator, for the very first time, kind of ran a little low on juice, so we had to drive it in here so we could plug it back in.
I want to say it was full yesterday.
That wouldn't make sense. They last weeks.
Yeah, they last forever. So
I wonder if it could have been the other one.
So the other Gator has all your bulbs in it. Mm-hmm. I could hook it up to the tractor, the lawn tractor.
Yeah, let's do that. I'll still come help since you're a little bit
infirmed.
Yeah, with your fingers. I'll help with all the bags. We were able to get the soil acidifier done though, so now we're moving on to gypsum. That's the last step for today's project.
Hey, you want to do the honors?
Oh yes, thank you. Oh, look at that.
Can I reach this?
Well, if we can plan it out to where you can come back to me when you need to exit a lawn, I can do it for you. You know, we've done that before. Is there like a
hook or something that I can get to extend it?
I think that'll work. Because it's long enough to where it won't, it's got a hook, like a round hook in. See that? So it won't fall off.
How do you push it back in?
Well, I don't know.
So I can pull it out, but just not back in.
Right.
Well, that's better than nothing.
I guess so.
Well, it's also, gypsum's the last thing. You can spread that practically anywhere.
That's true.
I mean, I don't want to waste it on the
lane or anything.
On the lane. But if I'm going in between where we're going to be planting grass for the loop, that's fine.
Right. Okay.
I don't need to turn it off for that. Well,
we'll just see how this goes. It shouldn't be that bad. Okay. You got it all done?
Yes, I did. It's all dirty in there.
Well, I noticed some of the bags had quite a bit of moisture because it looked like something chewed on them.
Yeah, we need to do a little better job, I think, of organizing and then maybe tarping everything so it doesn't get wet. So I need to clean the inside. But before we do that, we still have a 50-pound bag of seed left.
Lawn seed?
Yeah, why didn't we have that in there?
Well, because we were going to seed some grass around the flower garden.
Oh yeah, the cut flower garden.
Which
we decided to wait on that.
Yeah, we're going to do that in the spring.
Okay, so I think I've never overseeded before in the fall. I think we should give it a shot in some of those areas that where the water was pooling from that. Was it in the spring that happened or the summer? It was a summer rain, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
How many inches did we get in that rainstorm?
Oh, I don't know, like 2.
More than we're used to.
1.
And so it looks like in that spot we have poor drainage, but we actually don't have poor drainage there. It's just a low spot. All of our soil is just about the same out there. So the water, when we get that much, a deluge of rain, like our soil does not know how to take it in.
Right.
And so it just kind of finds a low spot and it drains out pretty quickly, but it did kind of stunt the grass out there. So that's a good idea. And
it drained out within like 24 hours.
It did.
But it still ruined, well, kind of ruined the seed that
I
we
think
had
it was,
just put down.
yeah, it was like so new. The baby grass was so new and it was so hot and muggy and weird out there. I don't know. But I don't think that overseeding is going to be a problem because we did the whole east side lane of grass about this time last year.
Yeah, I remember we did it later than we wanted to do it. We were wanting to get it done sooner and it just kept delaying and delaying. But it still came up great even though we did it late. Well, it came up great in the spring.
Well, you could see the green in the fall.
Yeah, it was
barely,
green.
and then it just took off in the spring. So the grass that we have planted is probably one of the more popular ones in our area. It's called Lawn Mix, and it's a mix of Kentucky bluegrass and perennial rye. It's a really pretty grass. It does really well in our area, so long as you irrigate it. There is another grass called RTF fescue that is popular as well. It is a little bit more tough, but it's a little bit more like, I don't know. I'm using it in the orchard for our meadow grass, and I'm just going to let it grow to its full size instead of keeping it mowed all the time. I don't love the look of that one for lawn as much as I like Lawn Mix. So anyway.
We have 2 of these.
We do?
Yeah.
How in the world did we end up with 100 pounds?
I don't know.
Well, let's go do it. Do you think we should try to broom out some of this junk?
No, it'll just come out.
All right. Okay. Okay.
Maybe.
Oh my. I used to get in trouble for cutting the bags like that.
Why?
Because you can reuse them if you take them apart right here.
Oh.
I got a talking to once. So this is what we seeded right here late last fall, about this time. And look at how pretty it is. We haven't done any weed spraying in it yet, but look at most of it is just gorgeous. We did have a new sprinkler line put in right here. You can kind of see where it's a little bit more soil and weeds right at the edge. It was grass all the way to the edge until we did that, but we needed to for better water coverage. And Aaron is just about to the low spot right here. I don't know if you guys can see that. Well, I can see it in the camera pretty well. So like right here, see where the color changes? All the grass right there is really healthy. And then right in this area, the water just kind of settled here for a little bit. I don't think that once this grass is up and established and really healthy, that any kind of water for just that short amount of time will hurt it. But it was just kind of at a pivotal moment when that happened. Now we've done no weed spraying whatsoever, so you'll still see weeds in there. Some of these will die out. There are some perennials in here. There's some buttonweeds and stuff like that hang out, stick around. But a lot of these will die out once it gets cold enough, and then we'll start in with weed control in the spring. But I think just doing a light overseed would be perfect. And then let me show you the other little areas that I was thinking we could just toss a couple handfuls of seed. There's some areas around sprinklers. So areas that look kind of like this. You'll see them right here. See that? There's a sprinkler somewhere right in here that pops up. They are like invisible. It's in here though. There it is. Ha. Yep. See that? Sprinkler. And so this is growing really nice, but there's a little ring, and there's a few areas like that around in here that I want to reseed. 1 pound of this seed covers 250 square feet. Do you know that? 25 by 10.
I have a hard time even knowing what the square footage of this space is.
Yeah, I don't know what the square footage is of this, but this 50 pounds should stretch. Ooh, that's a lot. Holy moly. I forgot about that spot. So there is a spot up there where the gravel driveway used to be that's really thin. So that's what he's seeding right now. He's also got an aerator on the way, and he's gonna put an aerator through this area to give the roots some room to grow. We still have water in our sprinkler system at the moment. We haven't had our lines blown out yet. We had a couple of cold nights, like we had a couple around 32. Then we had a 28 and a 27 degree kind of mixed in there. But for the last bit, we haven't had any temperatures even close to freezing, and we don't have any on the forecast for the next 10 days at least. So we'll probably give a little supplemental water just to kind of maybe get the grass seed moistened and started. And then we do have one day on the forecast that says it's a 30% chance of rain, which means it probably won't rain, but we'll just kind of try to keep it slightly moist out here. It'll be a lot easier because there is a lot of protection with the grass that is here. And then hopefully we'll see a little bit of green this fall. If not, spring, it'll probably come right up. So that's pretty much it, you guys. We just wanted to show you what we're doing for our lawn this time of year, what we're applying. And it's been quite the year for grass this year, getting grass established, planted and established, taking care of the noxious weeds. So the puncture vine was our main goal, and then we'll take care of all the rest of the broadleaf weeds this next year, kind of refine the whole area. Of course, this huge section of lawn is not going to be 100% lawn. We are putting in other flower beds. Hold on, he's close. We're putting in other flower beds and big shade trees. We want it to feel kind of like a park setting in the end, but just getting that dust that we had out here under control, and just it's just been so nice to have every area, I think, pretty much is covered with either mulch or grass at the moment. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.